Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Hello, good evening and welcome. Welcome to Rangers Radio. I'm Linda, and joining me on the show tonight is Bridgeman and GB. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Linda, and good evening, Bridgeman. Looking forward to giving my honest opinions on the Glasgow Rangers currently.
Ooh, look forward to it. Hello, Bridgeman. Good evening.
Hi, Linda. Good evening to you, and good evening to you, GB. What can I say? And don't forget the techie boys in the background. To all the Rangers fans listening in all over the world, don't be too depressed. It'll come right in the end. Welcome to Rangers Radio.
We hope so, Bridgeman. We hope so, because it's been another difficult few days for us. So, Bridge, I know you were on the post-match after the Kyiv game. So, GB, I'll get your thoughts on the game and just tell us what you think.
Oh, hi, Linda. To be honest, the biggest talking point is that I'd cared, Linda. I think that obviously killed the game for us. I know we still got a long way to go with the 10 men in that, but I did feel the worst once we lost that extra man. We've no looked a solid team, and we've probably needed every bit of quality on the park at all times to actually get through ties and get through games. And losing the big boy yesterday was a hammer blow. But I think it's all right in hindsight saying it, but really the kind of presence was set with his first yellow card. The referee was clearly not happy about the way he was challenging and stuff like that throughout the game, which, to be honest, there wasn't much in it. And I think, like I say, really at half-time they should have probably looked at that and tried to protect the team a bit. But granted, they want to keep their best players in the park, and they went for it. And like I say, the boy went up for a 50-50 challenge in my eyes, and like I say, the sending off changes the game, didn't it? The two goals were opened up, and especially the second one, we pushed Potter up front, and again, questions have came with that. Questions have came with Danilo. I'm still behind the manager, Linda. I'm not like I says a lot of the fans that are kind of questioning should we be going forward with him and that. I'm still behind. Come on, but as a friend of the show says, he is turning into a bit of a pattern merchant, because some of the stuff he's coming out with and some of the tactics he's doing just don't add up, and this is adding to the frustration with everything that's going on with Rangers. So overall, I thought the performance of the game was decent enough. I think what I says, if we kept our guys on the park and we could have pushed on and probably scraped through, I couldn't see us moving on any further than that, Linda, to be honest, in the kind of qualification round. It would have been really good that we got the €5 million, but like I says, it wasn't to be, and we move into the Europa League. But from there, like I says, I think it's there's work to be done in the team, Linda, and I think we're kind of getting to that kind of ceiling where we're having to hit the realisation button that this is what we're going to have to put up with this season.
Do you know, GB, it's a good point you make there, because maybe we can have a wee chat as the show goes on about what we want to see in the kind of a really short term for from the players, the manager and the club. You know, what do they need to show us to give us a bit of hope for the rest of the season? So that's maybe something that we can have a chat about. But Bridge, the game itself, I agree with GB. That's a team, without any disrespect to them, Bridge, that in seasons gone by in Europe we would have taken care of that tie, Bridge. And even though we're not sure whether we would have got through the playoff round, it's the sort of team that we would have beaten in Europe.
Yeah, I think we did well. Like, the truth of the matter is, no matter what anybody says, we actually did well, except we were playing 12 men. The referee hardly gave Rangers a decision, and any decision they gave them, there was threats of yellow cards and God knows what. That referee wasn't on there to give Rangers in, and that's the truth. But he was on there to make sure that, as far as I was concerned, Kiev got through. That's my opinion. That's exactly what I think happened. And the best way to do that, send him off. The first one, to me, I know he could contact with his foot, but I don't think it was a yellow card. Never in his life. I don't think he meant to stand in his foot. So it's coming together for me. And the second one, just nonsense. He's 2 feet, 18 inches or 2 feet above him. No matter what happens below that, no matter. He's had the ball gone, and that wee guy lies on the floor again. And we saw it repetitively all the way through that game. That wee right back kept going down anyway. You know. So there's not much I can say about it other than the manager's got to just pick everybody up. Well, how he does it, I don't know, but he needs to pick them up.
GB, I was quite glad to see Yefty starting because he had played so well the previous week when he came on, and I know we didn't see him at the weekend, but I thought with one eye on the Kiev game, that's maybe what the manager had in mind. But what I was surprised, and I know we got an explanation for it later on from the manager, was that Cherny didn't start. And I don't know, did you expect Cherny to start? Because we definitely had him in our starting 11 when we were on earlier in the week.
I mean, hats off to Heart and Hand Pressy for the question at the end of the game, Linda. It was needed because it's farcical. You can't have your backroom fitness team turning around and saying he's not able to play a full game for you, and we advise you to just play him in the second half. Well, again, we're standing here from our point of view. It's hindsight, but you go with your strongest team. I think a few of the callers in the previous nights have said the exact same thing. Why not just put the boy on, get that bit of quality early doors, hopefully we get the goal. And then, like I says, if he's knackered, if he's blowing in the second half, then we change him up. We put a Scott Wright on, we put a McCausland on to kind of shore it up a bit. And because, like I says, they're not creating anything. They're not scoring goals. You know what I mean? So at probably that point in the game, at the 60 minutes, 70 minute mark, you're looking for a guy to come on and just do a job. You know what I mean? You're not looking for anything else if I've got the lead. And he is the most dangerous player probably in our squad now, apart from probably Dessers. So it's a big question mark. And for the manager to make the excuse as well, saying that, I couldn't play him for the start. Well, how could you know? If he can last a second half, then surely he could have lasted a first half. I don't get his answers sometimes. I think he just, like I says, he tries and palms the question away, and like I says, we're all left wondering why, like I says, these professional football players who are getting paid big money to be at our club, that they can't just get out there and play football. It's like I says, every other team seems to go through a pre-season, Linda, and they can just get on with it. Our guys seem to be so mollycoddled. They seem to have all this time to settle and all that.
Brett, you're right, GB. It's a source of frustration as well for the fans, Bridge, because we've signed a few players. It feels as if we've hardly signed any because we've not seen them. You know, there's been certain players that just haven't made an appearance at all. You know, for example, the young boy Igamani, and we're crying out for another striker just now to even take some of the pressure off Dessers, and we've not seen him because he's not ready, first of all, even train with his teammates, and secondly, nowhere near being able to even come on as a substitute. And Bridge, gone are the days where you signed somebody and they were right into the team.
Yeah, it appears like that. You know, it's really for Rangers. It's really difficult. I think the people who are recommending these players, and I don't doubt wherever those players are playing, that when they're playing and you get the highlights of them, they're looking good and so on and so forth. And I don't know whether you can actually do that. Where's the good scouts that actually go to the game with your club in mind? You know, they're there, they're representing you, and they're telling you that player's good for this, good for a good, and so on and so forth. We don't practice that anymore. There's a myriad of people between the purchasing club and the selling club. There's a myriad of people, and actually, to me, it makes a mockery of what they're trying to do sometimes. You know, so. How can we get our players to come out on the park and play 90 minutes of football? How can we do it? Because there's GB says there's a huge number of them are on the sick. Basically, they're on the sick, and they've got the staff, the Ibrox staff, aren't letting them go. They're telling the manager, no, they're not fit, or whatever. Well, they should be fit. The coaches should make sure they're fit, and they should be. I don't know whether Clement is monitoring it or not, but he needs to start doing it. He's getting himself into a lot of, shall we say, crazy situations. So he needs to start monitoring it and start to lay down the law with his own coaching staff.
GB, it got to the stage where we needed a goal. They scored their goal, I think it was the 82nd minute, so there was still time for us to get an equaliser, and even obviously additional time as well. We needed a goal, and we look at the bench, and the manager doesn't have another striker to bring on to get us that goal, and he's got to put the brand new centre-back we've just signed up front. I never thought in a million years that come the beginning of this season, GB, that we would be in that situation where we've only got one fit striker that's able to contribute again in Cyril Dessers.
And again, wonder comes back to that. Dessers has been, I mean, if you're going by what the fitness team's saying, Dessers has started nearly every game, even pre-season and stuff like that. Tav was injured pre-season, but yet comes back and starts nearly every game, plays every single minute. That kind of stuff you kind of get your head around. The thing about the striker as well, we've got Boy Danilo on the bench. Manager confirms he's all right. He's fitting well. You'll see him in the coming weeks. Coming weeks, that's what I'm saying. He's made a statement saying you'll see him in coming weeks. So, I mean, come the end of last season, we were saying that Danilo was back on the grass training. And then in pre-season, we're seeing him in training. So he's still got ages to go before he's up to, what's his first team fitba. And for us to go out and spend that $2 million, like you says, Linda, it is absolutely crazy. I can't believe that Clement signed off on that. He should have been gone, give me that $2 million, I need to go and get a striker. Or even the boy, let's say, for AC Milan, we leave the two young boys alone, we use the money for his wages, and we use the $2 million and we go and get somebody that's actually going to help up front. Because let's face it, see in the Scottish League, it's all about scoring goals. You could probably leak goals at the back, London still win most games. But as long as you're scoring up front, then you'll get through it. But I don't know what's happening with his. Let's say that game the other night there, like he says, you're running Dessers into the ground. He's getting annoyed as well with the fans because they're getting on his back. But it's like a kind of hard on a rock place. The fans are peeved off, and he's peeved off because he's the only one that's actually fit and ready to play a 90-minute game.
And Bridge, so that's the situation with Dessers. He's played, as GB said, most of the pre-season, but in the 4 competitive games, the Hearts, the 2 Kiev games and the Motherwell game, Bridge, Dessers has played every minute of those 4 games. Now, you look at other teams in our league, you look at teams across any league, and that I would be surprised if that sort of thing happened where you can't even sub your striker. You've not got someone else to bring on. It's quite incredible, Bridge, how we're in that situation again, coming into these mega important games.
Well, see, a lot of folk would blame the manager, and probably rightly so to a certain extent. But really, my interest in all of this is that board, our board, are sitting watching the same game the other night at Hampden and saw everything that was going on the pitch. And the manager can't go on and play the game for them, but the manager can pick them and put them in. So surely they must come to some sort of conclusion that says, like, these players we've got aren't very good, are they? Surely they're not going to sit there every week and watch us playing poorly. They must be able to get their heads together and say, we need to get some cash for him, get it in, let him go and buy, or go and buy players for him. But don't let them buy players for them, because the ones they brought in, telling to the purpose, they're not that bad. They're not really been that good up to now. So I think they need to sit back and say, hey, wait a minute, start thinking. And it's so. By the way, I'm blaming the board. I'm blaming the board for the stadium, and quite rightly too. And I'm blaming the board for no supporting the manager, and quite rightly too. But I'm alone crying in the wilderness. That's basically what it's like. You can shout and bawl and not do all the things you want, try to talk sense, but really and truly, they ain't listening. The board are not listening, and if they are, they're kidding us on.
GB, as you said when you were doing your wee summary, your thoughts on the game, and in the first half we did create a few chances. There was a couple of them fell to young Ross McCausland, and I'm not having a go at him, but I mean, he's 22 now, Ross, and this is going to be his second season. He's been capped for Northern Ireland as well, and it was a shame because there was a couple of times where he was through and he just didn't appear to strike the ball properly, GB. And it also happened to Lawrence as well when the ball fell to him and he couldn't get a shot away. And you're watching it and it's quite frustrating that these are kind of a basic things that, that you've got to take your chances, and to not be able to even just strike the ball properly, it's really frustrating when you're watching it.
Embarrassing.
Totally agree. I totally agree, Linda, because then that as a fan you start to question, like, they're doing all these training drills during the week and all the rest of it, and you're wondering, like, what are they actually learning for it? Is it the coaching team as well? I mean, we spent money on bringing in another assistant manager, and I'm standing looking at players for last season. They've not improved. Nobody's improved. The only, like I says, the boys that we've touched on, I think, during the week there is that young Barn. But young Barn has came in as an Aberdeen player. I mean, so it's credit to Aberdeen in a sense that Barnes playing the way he's playing. It's no credit to any of our coaching team that Barnes playing so well. And like I says, it's a damning report, Linda. You can't, like you say, you can't dress it up. It's for somebody, a professional football player, not able to finish. Scott Wright's done it for 4 seasons now, and yet he still seems to get a start in the Rangers team. If you can't finish now, then you're never going to finish. I mean, so there's something got to give, and like, I would much rather they stopped looking at videos of the teams and all the rest of it, and actually concentrated on improving our players, because under the worry is, if we don't get anybody in, and we've already told the others that they're no welcome in the first team, then, like I says, we're going to have to work with what we've got.
Yeah, I mean, Bridge, just as I said there, this, watching somebody, and there was a few of them had opportunities to strike the ball and get a shot away, and then we also had a really unbelievable situation where one of our players has went off injured taking a shot at goal, Bridge. I mean, it kind of a beggar's belief.
Okay, am I allowed to say anything about that? Oh goodness, don't start me.
Just keep it clean.
I think that incident with Radevan, to be perfectly honest with you, that epitomised most of his game. His passing was poor. His thoughts, well, I'll try and hit that man there. He's 40 yards away. I'll try and hit him. And by the time he's hit the ball, there's two of their players in line of it. And that went on non-stop. And he tries to sort of bring Gifty into the game, and before you know it, the ball's out the park again. All these things, and no communication properly, and that's, I'm afraid that Radevan has been like that. And I thought he had an absolutely howler, a couple of howlers during that game the other night there. And see, when he got injured, I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. Who did he kick? He never kicked him, did he? Oh, maybe he kicked himself. No, he never kicked himself. He kicked the ball. Well, come on, everybody, please. How can anybody go down and be seriously injured? I don't, by the way, I say seriously, I get no idea, but serious enough to get carried off the park. No, I'm sorry, there's something no right. Just something no right. So hopefully they get to the bottom of that. Have we heard anything about it?
No, there's been nothing, no update. We'll probably get an update tomorrow at the presser for the St Johnstone game, Bridge.
Right, okay. But seriously, I look at the boy and I like him, and I think he's adventurous going forward and so on and so forth. But sorry, that was enough when I saw him trying to hit a really, really heavy shot and miskicked the ball or whatever he did, and he went down, never got up again. I'm sorry. And it's like one of these, you see the wee kids doing it. Well, what was that? Maybe I kicked a stone there, when the ball goes the wrong way, No, it's not right.
GB, that just kind of summed up the evening, didn't it?
Aye, another injury. To thankfully, though, Linda, what I will say is the signings that Clement's brought in, they've not shown that they're injury prone yet. It's mostly been the previous managers' signings that are showing up to be the problematic ones again. So, I mean, nae him to young Radevan, he's a talented wee player, but he seems to show that he's got the signs of an injury-prone player. And if there is anybody in Turkey wanting to give us some money back, then I think he's one that we need to cash in and pass it on to the manager to try and find somebody better. I mean, it's just unfortunately, we just haven't got the time to nurse more players through another season, Linda. Yeah. And see, just on your points, Linda, see what you're talking about the game. I mean, how are you actually feeling about it? Do you mean, looking at that the other night there, for me, like I says, performance was actually looking not too bad, but it just shows you how vulnerable we are when we just lost even one player out of that team.
Yeah, I was nervous about the game because, it's a tie that you wanted to get through. The finances of the club are so much in the news, and everybody talks about it, and you're thinking you've got the £4 million, €5 million. If we get through that, and you're thinking, well, that could even give us a signing, and then we'll deal with the playoff round when it comes. I did have a bit of hope because of how well we had performed in particularly the second half of the first leg, GB. I thought Cherny should have started. There's obviously given a reason for it. But as the first half went on, I did think that we didn't put away those couple of chances that we had, and they were quite dangerous. A few balls flashing across the box. I thought we kind of were coping reasonably well with MGB, but you always kind of thought that maybe they will get a goal and we might need two to get through. But like you, after the sending off, which was an absolute shocker of a decision, I thought that kind of maybe just killed any hopes. And once they got the goal, you're looking at the bench, you're thinking, how are we going to get the equaliser? And I just kind of thought, well, it's maybe just going to even finish 1-0 GB. But when they got the second goal, it just kind of killed it, didn't it?
I totally agree, Linda. And it's a sad indictment as well when you're saying about that left side. I mean, when you've got a left wing back getting in front of two proper wingers on your bench is just scandalous. Like I says, they boys really need to start. I mean, if they want a future at Ibrox, they've really got to start showing it in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. And Bridge, we'll start to have a chat about what we're hoping to see, but you touched a bit on the board there, Bridge, and I don't know what you think yourself about the Hampden factor and not having, been able to play our home games at Ibrox. And you've got to be able to play football. I understand that, Bridge, and a team like Kiev are playing out of even their own country. We understand it, but the general feeling, Bridge, is that the atmosphere at Hampden just hasn't been the same, and it's difficult, that, isn't it, Bridge, when you're not even at your home ground?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, and I said it right when all this was brought up and blah blah blah, and I said number one, I don't want to go to Hampden, and number two, I would prefer to go to between the two, or I went to Murrayfield, and I would have done that seriously. Don't get me wrong, I don't travel to away games, but I would have preferred we went to Murrayfield because all you're doing is you're paying money to these people, and they're just trying to fleece you, and they do every time. However, the decision was made, and I think it was a terrible decision. I don't know very many Rangers fans that like Hampden, other than when they're playing in cup finals and things like that. You can enjoy it then. I'm just sorry, I don't know anybody that was really happy with the decision. A lot of these senior season ticket holders would be there anyway. South Side and Big Stevie. There's hundreds and thousands of them, and they'll love it. They'll go to Hampden. They'll go anywhere to watch Rangers. But I personally hate Hampden with a vengeance, an absolute vengeance, and everybody in it. So I think I'm being a bit biased. I think so. I don't want to continue bringing the show down. So forgive me. Ask me another question.
So guys, we're going to have a wee chat about what we're looking for now, kind of in the really short term, from the players, the managers, the board. But we'll better get the phone lines open, eh?
Yeah, let's get the callers on.
So let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
So GB, your expectations for the rest of the season, and I know that's a bit of a loaded question and it's still only 4 games in, but you know, you see a lot of fans chatting about the season ahead and people haven't exactly thrown the towel in, but what are our realistic expectations going forward? I mean, what do you think?
Okay, it depends on what says the transfer business with Linda. I think if the transfer window had to shut tonight, then we're in a horrible position. I think we've got a team there that's a work in progress, but I don't think we've got a team there that can challenge for titles. We've already seen that Hearts can match us at an away game. Where Motherwell gave us a decent game as well, in the sense the second half came right back into it. So we've shown frailties already with the squad, and granted it's early days, but do you know, Linda, you know what's been surprising is that the team, I've heard a lot of folks saying as well, the team looked tired and he looked like they needed to substitute a guy because he's looking sharp and stuff like that. I mean, I thought pre-season was meant to... I mean, that's what Phil Clement's been banging on about, that he was going to get them in shape and ready for 2 games a week and fit and ready. And none of them look as though they're as fit as any other SPFL team out there. You know what I mean? It's just... There's a lot of questions going on there now, and there's a lot of answers needing done, but we're not going to get them under because it's like that kind of way, nothing to see here kind of attitude I think it's going on in the club. And I think between the board and the manager and everybody else that's involved in these transfers, Linda, I think the expectation has already been set out, and I think the manager's saying, well, we need patience, so we'll try our best, but don't expect a lot. And I think that's what the board have kind of surrendered to as well. I think the board have basically said to come on, look, if you can't shift any players on, then that's the squad you've got to be left with. And I think he's probably said that right back to them, well, if that's the squad I'm left with, then don't expect too much of them because it's got to be a work in progress. So to me, Linda, I think the best that we can hope for is finishing second as it stands now with this current squad.
Bridge, what about yourself? I mean, it is early doors and there's still, 2 weeks of the transfer window remaining. It's also a case of, Bridge, we've not seen a few of the new signings, so we don't actually know if how much of an impact they're going to be able to make. I mean, these guys, like for example, the young boy Egaman, he could be the best thing, since we've had for a long time, but we've just not seen enough of him. And Bridge, I think that's, as I said earlier, been a source of frustration for the fans. Bridge?
Sorry about that. I didn't realise I was on mute. I think it's really, really bad for us, to be honest. I don't know, how can we say this? I don't quite know what the board expect the fans to believe. So what we're hearing, as far as I'm led to believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they've got someone who goes out and brings people in for Clement, right? You can tell me in a minute. Yeah. But based on what GB said there, Clement is on his own to move the players on. I don't think that's quite balanced, is it? So, hey, manager, you're not in today, but you will just view the players and you do whatever we're telling you to do. But you see all the players there, you can get rid of it. No. That's the guy that's bringing people in. That's his job to get rid of them as well. Surely, sensible. However, somebody can maybe tell us that, Linda. I get baffled with it all. So that I don't understand why Clement can't get picking his own players to come in. If that's true, if the story's true, and I don't understand why, if he isn't picking his players, why the responsibility is on his shoulders to get rid of the players.
Bridge, I would have imagined that obviously they would have had identified players that they needed to bring in to improve, areas of improvement, and they've tried to get certain players that they've not been able to get in. So they'll have had a list, won't they, for every identified position. And then they would also have had a conversation around the players that they want to keep and the players that they would let go. And we've also been presented with a situation where at least one player has said he no longer wants to play for us. So that's up to the director of football, Niels Coppin, to try and move these players on, Bridge. I don't think it's obviously not up to the manager to do that, but he will have given an opinion on whether it's players that he would be happy for them to go, because they maybe don't fit in his plans, and he's hoping he'll be able to bring in better players, Bridge. But I think his hands been tied quite a bit with the lack of funding available to go out and actually buy players just now. But you've also got the financial fair play as well, Bridge, that we're kind of working within the realms of that.
Yeah, we're snookered no matter which corner we want to turn on these with these things. And we need to make our mind up what we're doing. We need to be able to, shall we say, finance things that we want, that the club wants us to do. It needs to be financed. It needs to be budgeted for, and everybody knows up front what's happening and what we're doing with it. Because the financial fair play will kill us. Come on and take everything off us. That's what they would do. So we need to be on the ball legally, legitimately, call it what you like. And we must be able to go out into the marketplace and spend money to do things right. However, it's all there. The rules and regulations are all there. If we want to go and spend £6 million or £7 million on a striker, then where are we going to get the money from? Because it's definitely not bringing in £6 or £7 million. You follow what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So the financial fair play will tell you that's not right. You can't do that, and you're in trouble.
We've been joined by our first caller of the evening. It's Stewart for Cowdenbeath. Hi, Stewart. How are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Linda?
Yeah,
Bridge and JB. I'm doing all right. Sorry?
What's on your mind?
Oh, God almighty. Where do you start? God, I just don't know where to start, to be honest with you. You know what really annoys me about Clement? He's always talking about he needs to balance the squad out, players' minutes, and it's all that. They can't have them playing all this time. They've got to be a certain level of fitness. I'm not picking on Tav here, but if you look at Tav, he never really had a full pre-season. Yeah, he's played, I think it's 4 games on the trot. And if you've seen him against Motherwell, he jogging out of that boy on the wing. I mean, I could have run faster. It just looks knackered. And the other night, that boy was just taking them out all the time. I'm not blaming him, but what I'm blaming Clement is that he should be able to sort of change his tactics a bit and give Tav a break. You know, I'm a big Tav fan. They should have maybe had Sterling there. If he's on the bench, you can play. Block it up a bit in the midfield till you gain a bit of control. I mean, you look at Lawrence as well. I mean, Lawrence after about 15 minutes, he's knackered. You see him blowing his cheeks and taking deep breaths in. I'm saying to myself, and he can't even get a shot. He's there to have a shot, but he couldn't do it. He just couldn't get a shot away. So he could have sort of moved it about a bit, but relying on Barron too much. He's running his guts out. Dethers is running his guts out. But there's no many of the rest of them doing it, you know. But it's just frustrating. He talks about tactics, but we play the same tactics all the time. And I hear the frustration for you guys, and I talk to a lot of guys as well. The tactics are the same. We want to see something different. We want to see the midfield looking a bit different with Diamondi up front, because I think he's got the physique at times. I like him, he's good on the ball, and I think he would draw a lot of fouls in the sort of 18-yard line sort of thing, because he's that tricky with the ball when he's turning. But not, he plays the same way all the time, and that's what really annoys me. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, GB, you made that comment at that point earlier on when you were talking about the Danilo situation, as we like to call it, whereby the manager's saying that he can't throw him in just now because he's coming back from an injury, and albeit it was more of a long-term injury. We understand that Tav was at the pre-season, but it was the other players that he brought in, GB, that he needed to build them up. But there's Tav. Tav, I think, he started the first 4 competitive games there, and he's played every minute of every game, GB.
So what's his kind of training regime? I mean, that guy just seems to be season after season, does he pick up injuries? His shots for outside the box, his crosses, runs up and down for 90 minutes, and yet every other player near enough in their squad seems to pick up injuries. So there's clearly something that these guys are not doing in their own time as well, because I think you can give them all the information and all the dietary stuff, but I think you need to help yourself sometimes, London. I think this is what we're up against, and probably this is what the manager's picked up on as well, that he's probably seen guys that are just no working professionally. And it's something that Gerrard brought in a way back. When he first came in, it was all about getting the right fitness and it was the gym work done and all the rest of it. And I think Southside mentioned it last night, that it's all been lost since Gerrard walked away. The professionalism in some of the squad players and how they act for day-to-day as professional football players is shocking.
And Stewart, you would think that that's actually the minimum that you would expect from them, their professionalism and their level of fitness. And Stewart, we went through a season last year where our injury list was just it was an absolute joke at one point, and a lot of it was muscle injuries. There was a couple of impact injuries that happened in games. We understand that, but one of the things that the manager talked about was making sure that they were in much better physical condition for the season ahead.
They just look so fragile. I just think that when Radevan took that shot and he just stood there, I'm saying to myself, so I don't know if he kicked a ground or foot. I think he hit the ball with the outside of his foot, like try to swerve it sort of thing. Yeah. I'm not saying he mishit it. That's the way he hits the ball sometimes. He's not a bad crosser of the ball and passer at times, although he's not been good the last 2 or 3 games. I still feel he's no up. I think that's just doing to fitness. If you hit a ball like that, clean, and it injures you, there's something wrong with your muscle in your groin or something like that. It's like he's pulled a muscle in the top of his leg, which is a kind of normal football injury if you're no fit, if you stretch or anything like that. So there's a lot of things wrong, and we all can see it. What the manager's trying to do is he's trying to play the way he wants to play in the future with a certain group of players, his team. But what he needs to realise, he's not got the players, so he needs to play with what he's got. He did no bad last season when he came in. He kind of patched up the squad. But I still feel he's not changing it too much for me. And the fans are getting bored with it. You've gone on about professionalism. I mean, you see what Cantwell, he sort of set the poor standard with all the TikTok stuff and an argument with something. It's just drawing attention to yourself. Ridicule. It's all right if it was Maradona or Messi. Fine, you can do it. But when you've got a lot to prove, and he's talking about he's here to win more medals than them up the road and all that, I'm saying to myself, shut up, man. But he did it. I mean, I've no doubt Clement had a word with him and saying, look, sir, you better calm it down. But he just kept doing it. And I think that kind of eats into the squad as well. Folk are like, oof, there's no really cracking down on him. He did a bit, taking him off and stuff like that. But there's just something no right there. There's just something no right with the squad, as JD says, about the fitness levels, about maybe professionalism, about it. I don't know. There's something just no right with the whole thing, the board as well. There's just something no right about it all. Every wee thing's making it worse, if you know what I mean. There's no bits really saying that bit's really solid or perfect there. We've got these areas. It seems to be the whole thing, the Hampden thing, the board, the statements coming out, the lack of sort of transfer activity, what's happening. I know the one out and one in scenario, I know that. But that team was there for the beating last night, without a doubt, there for the beating.
Yeah, I agree with you, Stuart. I just think that, as I said earlier there was an opportunity to get through that tie, and then we would have taken our chances against Salzburg, whether or not, we've beaten much better teams in Europe, even compared to, to previous years. Bridge, the point that Stewart makes about the squad, we're already like the 4 competitive games in, Bridge, and we're being heavy reliant on a few players already. Players like Diamandi and Barron starting in every game. And then you've obviously got Dessers playing up front, playing every minute of every game too. Tom Lawrence started every game. And obviously Tavernier coming in as well. And there just doesn't seem to be the ability to freshen things up, Bridge.
Well, yeah, I think freshen things up may not be the correct phrase with this. I think that players like Tavernier, that if he can't play every game, then he must have a big bad injury. That man's an athlete and has been his whole career. He ran. I don't think he's missed many games for Rangers in the 10 years or so that he's been here. So I don't know how we can't compare him. I think he's got qualities coming out. He's a tremendous player. But you see the last 6 months of Tavernier, he's let himself down. I don't know whether he's carrying a wee knock. Probably carrying more than one wee knock. But it was poor in the game the other night. And then he came onto a game and he did quite well for a wee while. And then the last 10 minutes, he just wasn't in the game at all. He ran out of breath, I think. And that's the same with everyone. But I think the guys in midfield, Diamonde, Barron, I think they are absolutely tremendous. But we can't continue. We're depending on the guys until 60 minutes, and we take Diamande off and we bring in someone like Scott Wright. I'm sorry, no offence to Scott Wright in that sense. There's no way Scott Wright should be coming onto the park and taking off someone like Diamande. It's just not right in anybody's language. However, I did notice that Diamande was struggling because it was a high tempo game at times, and when you've no got the ball, they held the ball for long, maybe 30, 40 passes, and that's wrong for a player, for a defensive type player, as a midfielder, because when they get the ball, they don't know, they're crowded out, they don't know what to do, So I take my hat off to those two boys, and I think Lawrence was kind of falling out of the game before it even started, to be honest. Yeah, okay.
Well, we've been joined by Smurf. Evening, Smurf.
Hi there, evening all. I hope you're all well.
Very good.
I just thought, well, I think a lot of the tiredness is down to the fact that we don't have any strength and depth in squad. So your guys on the subs bench. Well, firstly, the squad's weaker than it was last year. A lot of guys were left that had to go. They were out of contract. They weren't featuring. They were carrying injuries, etc. They've left. But overall, the squad's far weaker than it was last year. And we're starting 11. They start. The guys on the bench are coming on who are coming back from injury. So they can't just start and play 90 minutes of football because they've been carrying injuries. And I think that's impacting the first 11. And going forward, if that's not addressed, guys in the first 11 who are fatigued, whatever, are going to succumb to injuries, etc. So there's a whole chicken and the egg thing going on. We've got two guys in Hagi and Cantwell who are not in the first team plans. They want to get rid of them. They want to get them off the books. But it perplexes me that they're not in the first team squad. We seem to be cutting our nose off to spite our face. One of them is last year was coming back from an injury and he was out on loan. Had a bad cruciate injury. Never had any pace before that injury, so he's probably not going to be any slower than he was anyway. He's just come back for the Euros, and I think, look at Tom Lawrence. He can't be any worse than him, and you could be putting him in the shop window. And Toxic Todd, the guy's got all the ability in the world. Doesn't he seem to be able to follow instructions? He's a bit of a maverick. He's not a young player. He's 26, so he's probably an experienced player now. We got him for a song. It's a man that was touted for a £30 million move to Liverpool. And nobody seems to be coming in for him because he's toxic. I just don't see how we get any real money in for these guys. Getting them off the books and getting their wages off the books is an imperative. But when your squad's as depleted as it is, to me, they've got to be in the first team squad. There's just got to be. And I don't understand.
Yeah, GB?
Aye, Smurf, 100%. See that cut your nose off to spite your face? I'm really surprised Clermont went down that path. Now, I know he said last season that he would never play a player that his head wasn't right or He wasn't wanting to play for the team and stuff like that. So we don't know, let's say, Cantwell's attitude in it, or even Hagi's to a certain extent. But knowing Hagi, for how he promotes Rangers on his social media side of things and stuff like that, I think it was very naive of us not to bring him back into the fold. And who's to say that the boys didn't want to do a turn for us and get us into this kind of Champions League qualifier, get us past this next round, get the money in for Rangers, and then they get their move away, or get us through these games up to the end of the transfer window, and then they leave with our best wishes. You know what I mean? Get us goals that are important goals, keep us in the title race and all the rest of it, keep us in cups. I just think it's been, I think personally it's been bad management with Clement. He should have kind of worked with the boys. I think the boys would have gave a bit back as well, because the day, like in their own wee way, they love the club. And like you say, mate, the quality in the squad they know is terrible. And they boys have got at least a goal in them, or a creative spark in them that could have got us over the line the other night.
Smurf, did you hear the rumour, and it's not been obviously validated by anyone, that if Hagi plays so many more games, it's going to trigger some sort of financial clause?
I saw it in the news. I saw it in a newspaper article that it was going to be, if he played another game, or what, it might be more than one, but another 10 games or another game, whatever it is, they'd have to pay an extra £6,000 a week in wages.
Yeah.
And you know, Todd Cantwell's attitude's terrible, right? You might not want him a toxic influence around the first team when morale might not be the best anyway. But if you're paying his wages, and it's us, it's me and you that's paying him.
Yeah.
It's the fans that are paying his wages, and he's fit and available, he's got to be playing, or he's got to be in the squad. So let me say that, and maybe just on the bench or whatever, right? And the boy Hagi, I think, is a nice guy. I think he's a professional guy. I think if he was asked to come and play, he'd give it everything he's got. And if the teams, if the clubs that strapped for money, that doesn't want to trigger a £6,000 a week, which is phenomenal money to us, right? But you know, in their realms, it's a paltry sum. You know, just give him a free transfer then. If it's that bad, you know, just give the boy a free transfer and get him off the books if it's that bad. But you know, we could be doing with him, I think. I'm not saying I want to see him at Rangers for the long haul, because I don't. But use him or give him away, whatever, give him a free or whatever. I don't know. But it's just, I just can't get my head around it at all. I mean, it's not. I mean, you look at where what's going on at Ibrox in terms of the building thing, right? We touched on it yesterday, but we're renting. I don't know what the deal would be. I don't know how you would couldn't even begin to imagine how you structure these deals. But to all intents and purposes, we must be renting Hampden, so that's an expense. The way things have panned out this season, the apathy of the fans, and let's just, you know, you can't, as a Rangers fan and as a Rangers player, anybody connected with Rangers, you can't concede the league, right? But let's be realistic. We're not going to win this league. We're not going to get anybody in unless we get players out. So in the next 15 days, I can't see anybody coming into the club. Just can't. Hans might be forced with the wee left back, wee Yilmaz, might need to get a replacement in. But when I look at that, I look at I can't see our turnover being greater than it was last year's. So next year, what we can spend in players is still going to be 70%, but it's going to be 70% of a lower amount of turnover. And you've also got to factor in that your outgoings were greater because you're playing at Hampden and you're renting it. So the whole thing's just an absolute shambles. Next year, you're going to have guys who are out of contract walking away. You know, if we don't sell Hagi, he's out of contract anyway. You've got what's his name, the big centre half that we gave a year's extension to, the big German boy. Balogun, Leon Balogun. He's out of contract at the end of the season. So then, and the whole thing gets compounded. I don't know how
I'm
you.
going to bring Stewart back in. Stewart, the point that Smurf made about and GB made about Hagi and Cantwell, what's your thoughts on that, Stewart?
I'm sort of in agreement as well. I mean, he's trying to play a system that he wants to play in the future with certain players that he's no got. That's basically it. So he keeps persevering with this. And I agree with what you're saying. I would rather he Hagi in the team than Cantwell was toxic. There's something wrong there. It's a total fallout. He's in the half. He looks that type of guy. So try and get rid of him. But like say with Hagi, I mean, he played for Romania in the Euros. And he did okay. I watched the games and that. And he did okay. So he's not got a lot of pace, but they could have adapted the midfield to suit that, to try and get the best out of him so that you can sell him. Because he's not a bad player. He's got value with the name and the reputation. So he could have done that, but Clement doesn't seem to want to do that. He wants to play this system, the 2-3, with Lawrence. Lawrence is murder there. He's not got the legs for it. I'm not saying Hagi's got the legs for it. But if they adapted the system to suit a Hagi, like set up like a Romania type of situation, you'd get the best out of him. But play him like the way he's playing it, you're not going to get the best out of him. It doesn't matter who you pick there unless you've got a really top player, which we're not going to get. But another point as well, if you look at I've gone back to the Motherwell game here, where the goalkeeper kicked out, guy standing in midfield, nobody around him, 10 yards clear, passes the ball out into the goal. It's a fluke goal, right enough. But the midfield looks empty. I'm sometimes watching the game thinking, are we a man doing or something? Because there just seems to be so much space. So we need to block that midfield up, which would help Hagi. The balls would be coming through if it was a Hagi-type player there. And he's creative. He could slip balls in. He could hit a good shot as well. There's just something wrong with Clement that doesn't want to change that system. And that's going to be your biggest failing, especially the next 3 games are crucial. If we didn't maybe stick my neck out, win these next 3 games or win and draw 1, it's got to be a lot worse for him if he sticks with the same system. Something's got to change for the next 3 games or he's in real trouble. He's just signed a 4-year deal right enough, but there you go. Another issue.
Yeah.
There's just something not quite right with the system.
Yeah, Brad, Stewart makes a point about the setup of the team, and I think we've been speaking about it for weeks. It's going back to last season as well, Bridge. Ox always make the point about how open we are in midfield, and it's not changed, Bridge. You know, the young guys, Diamandi and Barron, they've got lots of running, but they can't cover the amount of ground when you're actually playing with somebody like Tom Lawrence in there who can't actually make up the other ground that he's supposed to.
Yeah, 100%. You know, Lawrence has got limitations in his game. I think young Barron's is loaded. He's absolutely loaded. Expectation of Barron delivering for Rangers is absolutely sky high. And the same with that Diamandi. So all the weight of the team, and we used to do, Rangers did this for years with certain players, you know. The weight goes on to them, and if they can't do it, they're absolutely pilloried by the fans. But I think young Barron is a, shall we say, is a light of the team at the moment, and not far behind him is a boy Diamandi, and we should be keeping them and making sure that they're okay and everything's out. If there's something wrong with either of those 2 players, get it fixed immediately, get it checked and fixed, because those 2 will carry you forward, but not alone. They need people above, just in front of them there. Lawrence, I'm afraid, I think he's a smashing player, but he's no a fetch and carry man, in my opinion. He's got to be up there running forward. You know, get any comment that's coming out the way. Somebody passes the ball to him, if I get a good shot, that's fine. But he can't be expected to come back into the midfield and pick the ball up, because it ain't going to happen. He's not got it. In my opinion, he hasn't got it. So I don't know what the solution is, but I'm sure the manager's seen all that before in these type of positions. But young Barron and Diamandi, brilliant players, absolutely. And Yefty, magic, just magic players.
GB, what would you like to see happen with regards to the actual players that he's got available just now? I know we want signings and we'll come on to that, but just looking at the squad that he's got, the players that we know are, for example, injury-free, right? Like, you know, they're not on the sidelines injury-free, they might be building up fitness, but what would you like to see the manager do in terms of the players that he's got available, particularly over the next 3 games?
think Bridge made a good point earlier that we've got to be set up and you've got to play your best team possible. And I think we need to get the big boy Sterling back into the squad, Linda. I think we need to. Lawrence, I think, like folk have said, has looked a bit leggy. So what it says, maybe we put Diamande up a bit and we bring Sterling into that midfield along with Barn. We get Tierney, who's looking really promising. Dessers is doing a job up there. As much as, like I said the other night, you're frustrated again with some of the chances he's missing, but granted, he's the one that's actually banging the goals in. And then left side, well, Yefty will be available still for us, so I would play him in the left. And then that wing back position, like I says, maybe it's a chance for one of like, was it Fraser, the boy Fraser?
Robbie Fraser.
Robbie Fraser, eh?
Robbie Fraser, maybe it's a chance for him because he looked as though he had a bit of pace about him as well. And Proper, again, good signing, looks a solid signing. And then all you need is a decent defender next to him. We've got a good goalkeeper. And I know Tav's getting a bit of stick, but see, Tav will give you a minimum 7 out of 10 all the time anyway. So, and that's all we're really needing. We're just needing a settled kind of team. But the sad thing, Linda, for me is if we get all them settled, if we lost any of the players, we've not got anything off that bench to make us stronger yet. So we're really living in hope that we can keep 11 players fit for a full season. And I just don't see it. I don't know how we were able to do it.
Smurf, what are you looking to see?
Well, I've got a couple of points. The first thing was, what I'll answer your question is, I'd like to see us going to a midfield 3. Now, you go to a midfield 3 and playing with 2 out-and-out wingers, I don't think it's going to work because I don't think Dessers is that type of player. I think Dessers needs people who are more sort of in a sort of inverted role. Right, Kent was playing under Gerrard. I think he needs that around him. Clement's not going to do that. But the forward aspect to our squad lends itself to that. Starting midfield 3 is Barron, Diamande and Sterling when he comes back, if he gets fit. And obviously the big fella up front, he's the only striker we've got. The boy Igamani, he never went to the Olympics because he's injured. That's why he's not in the squad, he's injured. And then the wingers, if he's fit, I'd like to see Matondo get a shot because we need pace. We need pace in that team. I'm not saying I want Matondo in the squad going forward. He's another one we could get rid of. But we're paying him a wage. He's got experience. He's settled in at the club now. Scored a peach against Celtic last season. That was last season. But we need that one. He's got to be better than Scott Wright in the right, isn't he? Anybody's got to be better than him. He's an empty
I'm better than Scott Wright.
So I'd like to see Matondo getting a bit more football, and I'd like to see him going 4-3-3.
Yeah.
But he's not going to do that. And my second point is that I was going, and I've said this before a couple of months ago, and Ox in his own inimitable way shot me down in flames, and I still think he's wrong. Rangers, and I'm no hating Clement because I think Clement's done well given the situation that he's in. He only found out in May that he thought he'd joined the club in a certain situation and found out in May that the circumstances weren't what he thought. So the board were disingenuous with the man, really. But I think Clement was the wrong appointment because the board didn't have the finance to refinance the team to play the way Clement wants. So they should have brought a manager in that suited the players that were there rather than a manager who was going to bring a different style in. And then, of course, you need a revolution, and you need different types of players to suit that style. So I think a manager that suited the players that were there would have been a more intelligent way of going forward. But where we were at, Clement wants to play 4-2-3-1, and he's going to set his team up that way. And until we can delete and then enter a new player, delete one player and get a new player in to suit his style, we're going to toil.
I'm going to put that question to Stewart and Bridgeman after the tune. So if you get yourselves on mute, let's have the tune.
Atlantic, across the broad Pacific shore. I've sailed around the stormy capes and I've heard the 40s roar. I've climbed the Indian Ocean and I've sailed the China Sea. But there's a sea back home in Scotland, more than all the rest to me. It's the blue, blue, blue sea of Ibrox. It's the greenest sight that I have ever seen. It's the blue, blue, blue sea of Ibrox. And this part of the really just play a screen. No more I'll sail the seven seas, no more I'll ever roam. No more I'll feel the urge again, I'm back where I belong. At 3 o'clock each Saturday I'll join the mighty throng. With flags and banners all around, I'll proudly sing this song. It's the blue, blue, blue sea of Ibrox. It's the greenest sight that I have ever seen. It's the blue, blue, blue sea of Ibrox. And this part of the really just play a screen. It's the blue, blue, blue sea of Ibrox. It's the greenest sight that I have ever seen. It's the blue, blue, blue sea of Ibrox. And this part of the really just play a screen. And this part of the really just play a screen.
Thanks for that, Fox.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Great choice of tunes that, GB. I wish we were back at Ibrox, eh?
We'll be far away, Linda. Like I say, there's good pictures coming out today for the club, and like I say, hopefully there's a good bit of progression there. And like I say, I think hopefully the timeline that's been given, that we're on track for that.
Yeah, definitely. Here. Stewart, what about yourself? What are you looking to see in the next few games from the team in terms of the manager's selection and how they go about it?
Basically, I mean, the players are the players and injuries are the injuries. Their kind of hands are tied a wee bit. It would be good to have a few more Raskins available, give Barn a wee Brett, pretty similar type of players at times. I worry about Barn. I mean, it's so much energy. I just think, hope nothing happens to this guy, if he's totally knackered. But what I'd really like to see is a change of tactics. We're too predictable. Every manager that will look at it and say, it's 4-2-3-1 and this is going to happen, that's going to happen. He needs to go with something like a 3-4-3 or something. With a 3-4-3, you've got 7 kind of players up in the attacking area at times if you want, and it protects Tav a wee bit maybe. You've got that third one there coming out a wee bit, like say maybe a shooter or something, and you've got the proper guy in the middle or on the left. I know maybe they've got the players to play that anew, or maybe a Leon King on the right. Because I'm not slagging Tav, I like him, he's a great player, he's been brilliant, he is an athlete as you say, but he's just lost a wee bit. And the Motherwell thing really annoyed me, the way he jogged out to it. I mean, he could have done a wee bit better there, and that's just sort of him, the new. He's maybe not up to full fitness, he's maybe carrying on. So for me, it's really tactics to change it, even 2 or 3 times in the game. Go to a 3, do this, do that, put 5 in the middle, put 1 up front. But Dethers would be better if he had a wee player to play off him, like a McCausland or something in a 10, because McCausland's nearly a 10 and a 7. You know what I mean? So to try and utilise the players a wee bit better and change the tactics, then it becomes so predictable, because we are a bit predictable. So I just think, gosh, this is that team. It just sort of your heart sinks when you see it, like, Jesus Christ, here we go again. Another boring sort of thing, You're wanting something a bit different. I like the fact that Big Jeff Day is on the left. I quite like the big guy. You know, he's got a lot of skill, a lot of speed. He's quite raw, 20-year-old or something. He looks like reminded Jason King for the years ago with the wee moustache and that. No, he looks older than 20, but I just think we need a wee bit of variety. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, variety.
Aye. GB, the manager, just mix things up a wee bit and change it. As you said before, he seems to want to stick with a formation that he doesn't have the players for. And unless he gets more in GB, the way that it looks to us, it's just not going to work.
No, he'll concede, Linda, and like I says, he'll put himself in these positions where he's desperate for the team to try and get a goal. I think, like I says, he's going to have to do something. He's going to have to find this midfielder that he's been searching for in this transfer window, Linda, I think, to try and help him with the tactics. But if he doesn't, then he's going to have the fans in the back. We're going to be questioning the board even more, because then it's going to look like it's them. It's, like I say, surrendered the league, because if they've offered him that long contract, then they're basically saying we're giving you 4 years to build a team that's going to eventually challenge for a title. I mean, that's him basically saying that they're writing off a couple of years to build a team because they've not got the money to do it. So, come on, Scott. Like I says, he's got work to do. I hope he gets some batting, but if he doesn't, then like I says, it's down to him, Linda. He's got to be the manager, this good manager that we've brought in. He's got to work with youth. He's got to bring them through. He's got to fill the positions that he's not been able to bring in, and that'll tell the tale whether he's a top manager or not.
Yeah. But what about yourself? I was asking the guys there. What are you looking to see from the manager and the players over the next few games?
First of all, the players. What I'm looking for from the players is to take responsibility when they're on the park. They're the ones that have been selected. Go out and show us that you can do it, and show yourself that you can do it. There's some of the, shall we say, the attitudes of the players is quite poor. Maybe they feel they're in the wrong position. Then they all got to get together with the manager and say, I'm playing the wrong position or whatever, and get it all sorted out. But when they're on the park, they need to show up. They need to show up. So many times this season, but some of the players have just not been there. I don't want to mention names again, but some of the passing is absolutely abysmal. Even the interplay, the short ones, and the guy goes for the ball and he runs, and all of a sudden the guy's kept the ball too long, and then he hits it in the and it's just nonsense. We're losing the ball so stupidly for no apparent reason. Unforced errors, just incredible. So all these things need to be sorted, and I think the manager himself has to start looking into himself, and in his discussions with the board need to be on the button. Tell them what you want, this is what you need, and back it up for yourself. That's what he's got to do.
I mean, Smurf, we're definitely needing to give certain players a bit of a breather. I know we're only 4 games in, but we're already heavy relying on certain players. I mean, you're thinking about Saturday's game. It is a home game, albeit at Hampden against St Johnstone, right? And I'm not want to show them any disrespect or anything, but it is a team that you could perhaps freshen up, our team against them and hopefully still get through the tie. But you just feel, Smurf, I don't know if you agree, but we're under pressure already, that it would be unthinkable for us to go out of this cup at the weekend. But is the manager going to be maybe brave enough to bring in a couple of different players to start the game?
I can't think anybody that he could. I mean, he could start with Matondo, maybe. I don't know. It depends on the fitness of the guys that are on the sidelines. The short answer is yes, but are they available? I mean, well, the obvious answer is yes, but are they available? That's the question. So, if there's players available, I mean, there's no bravery in picking John Sterling and Ravi Matondo to start a game to rest players, and again against St Johnstone. There's no bravery in that. It's just obvious to a bit of squad rotation. It's, are these guys available, fit and available? What's brave is bringing in Leon King and whatever, young boys like that, and giving them a run out, and Robbie Fraser and you know, seeing what they can do. That's brave. But they're playing for Rangers, so they must be good enough. If no, why are they at the club? So, to be honest with you, I don't. There's no strength and depth in the squad. Partly due to injuries, partly due to not being able to bring players in. And it's not beyond the realms of possibility that St Johnstone could get a result. I mean, the two new boys that they've got up front are rapid, frighteningly so. I think it was at Kilmarnock they destroyed the other day. I watched that.
Aye, that's right, 3-0.
Phenomenal, rapid, and so they're dangerous. And you're playing at Hampden, so it's almost like a neutral tie. So again, but I mean, a Rangers team should always be good enough to beat St Johnstone. It's whether I don't think we've got the strength and depth. Partly, as I say, because of injuries, so they're going to need to go with the tried and tested at the moment.
Stewart, do you think that's just where we're at, and we just need to accept that it'll be the same players that we see at the weekend that we saw the other night? And it's
maybe a couple of tweaks. Jeffy at left back, Matondo in the left wing, and I would leave McCausland out at Cerny, and maybe Lawrence will still be there. I'd like to have seen McCausland in a number 10. He's got the legs and that. Plus, he's quite light. It's quite tricky, fleet-footed sort of thing. His shot's a bit weak, that one that he had against Stein, but the other one he had there in Kiev was a cracking shot. It hit the post. So he has got it in him. And again, he's kind of coming back as well. So he needs to change something. But look at it this way. Before I go, I'm going away now. If this was a sort of Scottish Cup semi-final or a Scottish Cup final, we'd be totally confident. We'd say, it's only St Johnstone. And we didn't lose many semi-finals against teams like that or a final. So it's a mentality thing for me as well. It's Hampden, it's no great atmosphere. And that's what it is. You've just got to take it. So hopefully they'll galvanise the cell a bit, stop feeling sorry for the cell, and just get the result, get the next 3 results. If he gets the next 3 results, that's it. You're back on the kind of track again, and need a bit of confidence. I felt sorry for Dessers waving his arms about it, and they've got to scapegoat somebody, if it's a Cav or a Dessers or a Cantwell. Everybody gets a wee shot at it. Hopefully they can sort of get past that and try and encourage the boy rather than bloody criticise him, because without him he'd be even in a worse situation. So, look, I'll leave you with that thought anyway, guys. I've got a couple of things today, and thanks for taking my call, and I'll catch you up another time, okay?
Cheers, Stewart. Thanks for calling in. Good to hear
Cheers,
from
Stewart.
you.
No bother, guys.
Bye, Stuart.
Right. Cheers. Bye, bye.
GB, is there anybody that you would like to see get a start? I mean, I was meaning when I was saying, is he going to be brave enough? I was thinking more about a couple of the youngsters. You know, obviously some of them have been given a chance. I mean, the B team had a good result last night, and there was a couple of players that, you know, that kind of stood out. And I know we're stepping up a level. I understand that, 2 levels. But, you know, when you look at some of the players that have played up to now, and fans haven't been very happy about performances, for example, Tom Lawrence. And I know the Alex Lowry conversation has been there before, GB, but again, you know, have we given him enough of a chance, you know?
No, Linda, I agree. And from what I've seen of the game the other night with the B team, it was a rough and tumble game. You know, it was a physical game on a horrible park, Hagi's Park. You know what I mean? So it's the performances, the scenes. I think even the goalkeeper for our B team had a cracking game as well.
Yeah.
The Lowry situation and Lovelace, it was good to see Lovelace back in the park. He looks a unit, a boy, and I would love to see him back in our squad. The Lowry one, he's got all the talent in the world. He's like a Cantwell. He's got a bit of maverick about him. And this is, again, wonder where it comes back to the manager. Is he going to be stubborn and stick to his tactics, stick to his structure, and you've got to go out and follow instruction? If he continues down this path, then we're not going to see what we want to see for a long time, because these transfer windows are all we've got, Linda, to be able to strengthen, because that's where the budgets lie. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I think as much as the manager says that he's brought in young players for the long term, I think he really needs to start focusing on the short term, because when you're looking at the crowds going to the games and stuff like that, you need the product on the park to be exciting and to be entertaining. No matter how well we do in the league or whatever, as long as there's something on the park for people to enjoy, then the fans will turn up to that. But when you start seeing poor football and long balls and no goals, then and scraping draws and stuff like that, then the fans will stay away, and eventually that's going to, like I says, bring more negativity to the club.
Smurf, yeah, I mean, GB makes a good point there. We already saw the reduced crowd the other night. I mean, going to Hampden is definitely affecting, people that want to actually buy tickets. But it's a very kind of dangerous situation to get into, Smurf, because we're not selling tickets. That's adding to the difficulties.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head there. Next season, our overheads are going to be greater because we've had to rent Hampden, right? Yeah. And that's going to be compounded because people are turning. We have 30,000 people turn up at Hampden. There's 20,000 empty seats. St Johnstone's not going to bring. They're going to bring a few hundred fans, and then you've got massive gaps. That's going to impact the players. That's going to impact the atmosphere. It's going to impact the finance. It's going to impact our ability to get through to the next round, etc., etc. Yeah, the fans have got to support the club and try and put their politics behind it, and understand that the shortcomings of the board, of which I don't think anybody with any degree of sanity could argue that the board is just abject failure. It's not the players. And the fella, sorry, I forget his name. It's just left.
Stewart.
He made a really good Stewart. He made a really, really good point about CD9. He made a great point about him. That love him or loathe him, get off his back, because if he bangs in a transfer request and chucks it, where'd you go for there? Then you're going to need to be brave and go to the B team, So because that's what we're left with. So support the team, support the players, forget about the politics, and whatever we play, we'll need to play, and the club need the money, and the team, more importantly, need the support in the park more than ever. It's time to come together.
And Bridge, as a fan base, we've supported the club through thick and thin, and I think at this stage of the season we're just a wee bit disheartened with what's been going on. I would suggest, Bridge, that the first thing that the board need to do is get us back into our stadium ASAP. Yeah,
whatever they can and get it done. There's no way you're going to heal any wounds when we're not in Ibrox. We've got to be in Ibrox. We've got to show that we can play when we're at home, and we've got to show it to the fans who come, the devoted fans that come, and get them back, get the full stadium back. I don't think I might be wrong, of course, but I don't think they would ever have a full stadium anywhere else other than Ibrox. The Rangers, that is, unless it's a cup final or something. They're just, with this melee that's been going on for quite a wee while now in the club and so on and so forth, and this absolute disaster there's been with the stadium thing. And of course, we've lost with chief executive and so on and so forth, all these things that have been happening. And all the good news, like we've got the Edmondson House, and it's really good, the things are happening in the club, and we're making these wee changes, and all of a sudden all explodes because somebody's put an order in that can't be committed to or can't be met. Just sad for the club, and that's what they need to do. How do they take away this sadness and melancholy? Because a lot of Rangers fans, they're not bothered. They're turning and saying, I can't be arsed. That's true, the language. But that's what they're saying. I can't be bothered with it. It's just too much. So I'll just go and whatever, watch a telly or whatever I want to do instead of going to the game. And it's sad. That's the saddest part. The guys that continuously go to the game week in, week out, if some of the guys stop going, then Rangers at the top level will be in a lot of bother. And they need to get it all sorted and come out with a plan and be open and honest about it. And don't bring anybody else in that hates us.
So guys,
Can I
we're
just come in?
moving.
Sorry.
It's okay, Smith. I'm just going to give a wee shout out and see if we can get more callers to come in. Come in and join us. Tell us your thoughts. So let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
On you go, Smurf.
Well, obviously, it was what I was going to say is it's obviously cheaper to go to China, and that's why they went to China to get the steel, because they produce cheap steel. But it just shows you the false economy in that decision. You know, the steel doesn't arrive, and you could have had it fabricated 10 minutes down the road. The steel doesn't arrive. You know, you're not getting the footfall. You're not getting fans coming to Hampden. They should be coming to Hampden. You've got how that's going to impact your corporate side of it. You've got the cost of Hampden, as in, you know, to rent it. It's got to have been cheaper just to have got it made 10 minutes down the road and know that it was there ready to go before you decanted everybody out of the stadium to have the work done. It's got to have been. Got to learn that, you know, because I'm looking at next season they're going to do the other stand, and then
that was suggested, but whether or not that happens, Smurf, I don't know.
And whatever, you know, they're going to do that. Surely, God, they've got to get it made down the road, and it's got to be already made before they even announce that they're going to do that. Surely, it's madness. I mean, whatever. You know, but my point is just whatever savings, the pennies that we're going to save and bringing it from China, much as it really cost them. Unbelievable.
GB, I mean, we've put up with a lot of things, and we probably would continue to do so, right? Something about not having our stadium and having to be decanted to Hampden. If things are happening on the pitch, you can just about you don't agree with things. You are disappointed, but you would almost accept, and you would say, right, we'll be back in just as soon as we can. But when things aren't going as well on the park, GB, and just the way that the transfer window's going as well, and injuries to players and players not getting minutes, it compounds the situation.
100%. Hit the nail on the head, Linda. See if that first game of the season against Hearts that we went out and beat them 3-0, and we played entertaining football, and then we continued that on with the result like we did at Kiev, gave us a fantastic lift of confidence with getting that last minute winner. The fans would be turning up. The fans would be there, and they will be. The fans will be there because, like I say, it's just the way our support is. But if we were playing entertaining football, and like I says, we're seeing, like I says, goals going in, or seeing something, like I says, a product on the park that there's got to be progression, like I says, the transfer rumours and stuff like that, if they were linked with players, but it's all went quiet, Linda. And the worry is, like I says, that even the guys that we've told to leave, they're not leaving. You know what I mean? And even that, I mean, if you think back to the start of the transfer window, Dessers was linked heavily to be out the door. And again, that's all went quiet. So again, I think the realisation's kicking in, which is making a lot of the fans going to a bit of downers, but that we're kind of going to get stuck with a lot of mediocre players and not a lot of entertaining football. Yeah.
In Bridge, a couple of weeks ago, we got Cherny in, albeit on loan, and we went and signed Proper, and we thought, right, that's good, we're moving in the right direction. But obviously things have stalled in that department, Bridge. We've not made any further signings, despite the fact that we know that we're desperate, we need them. And we understand this, perhaps the one out, one in situation. But again, it's just that lack of movement, Bridge. We've been kind of left in limbo now, and we're not even sure whether we're going to get any more players in before this window closes.
Well, can I ask a question of everybody here? Does anybody think we're going to sign MD else? I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
No, it doesn't sound like it. It's and doesn't feel like it. And I think the last two chaps we brought in, what's his name again? Tell me, Proper
in Czerny.
In Czerny, yeah. And both of them are very good players, actually, very good players. And they need time to be able to settle in. And Czerny's just come back for the Euros, so he might be needed a wee bit of rest. But he's getting put in now, and he'll definitely show for us. Scored a couple. He scored 2 goals, or at least the one goal I've seen was absolutely fantastic goal. So, and Proper, unfortunately gets sent off. No, I think it's sent off, didn't he? Scored an own goal. No, it wasn't him who got sent off. It was Yefty. So I think he's going to start to go on. And I thought the other night there that him and Suter were actually starting to build a wee bit of partnership, and I thought that looked quite good. So I would love Balogun to be back and play alongside Prodan. For goodness, Prodan. Proper. What's the matter with me? Anyway, I would love that to happen, but anything other than these guys, I would be delightfully surprised if we could sign somebody else in this window. That's what I want to see. Let's do it. If we can't do it. If we can't, then the fans will just go, what's the point? What's the point? All that money, and we've spent, I'll tell you what, I don't know anybody guesses how much it's going to cost us to pay. What do we have to pay the SPFL? What do we have to pay the SFA for Hampden? What do we have to pay Queen's Park? And we already had, I think, as far as I'm led to believe, they already laid a new pitch, and Rangers are paying for that. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm led to believe anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, we're giving them enough. And I'll get us out of there and get us back to Ibrox, for God's sake, very quickly. Please.
Smurf, you were saying GB, sorry, and you come.
No, I was going to ask you, how do you see the transfer window? Because obviously we talked a few weeks ago and we were saying about who would we expect to come in and that. Do you still see the Shankland thing as a possibility, or do you think that the other night they hit the nail on the head for that? Because to me, I can't see us chucking money, like decent money, at Hearts for a player that's going to now come in possibly on a free.
Yeah, I agree, GB. I mean, I think that the money that Hearts are looking for, they don't need to sell them. They're not desperate for the cash, although every club wants money. They seems as if, but they're also saying they haven't had any offers. They've had no notes of interest. But if they're looking for so many million, Rangers aren't going to go calling anyway. And there's also this other point. I don't know if you agree, Smurf, but people think that maybe the manager just doesn't fancy Shankland anyway. He maybe wouldn't be able to fit into a system that he wants to play. He's a goal scorer, and I wish we could have got him, but I understand that you're not going to pay all that money for somebody who's out of contract at the end of the season. Smurf?
I would agree with that. The other thing is as well, maybe it's his profile, his age. Maybe that's against him. This pillar that they talk about of the player trading model. He sort of bucks that trend, although he's Scottish and that helps in other areas. But maybe he just doesn't fancy him. Who knows? And when he's only got a year left in his contract, is he really worth that money? Maybe you're better waiting till January and see if you can get him then. I mean, we could have done him with him last January, let's be honest. Might have won the league. But I think if he comes in, I don't think you'll see him before January, knowing the money that Hearts want anyway. I've just been noticing there, I've just been reading the news there, and Leeds United are linked with an offer for Matondo. Apparently Rangers are considering. but I don't know if there's any legs in that. So he might be one that's away. The problem is it is going to be a one-in, one-out situation. So they're going to want to reduce the wage bill and then bring players in to replace these guys with cheap money. And I don't know. I don't know if that's just downsizing, but it needs must.
Yeah, Guy, I got asked a question today, so I'll put it to you guys, and you can tell me what you think. But we've got one very sellable asset in our squad just now, and if a very serious offer came in for our number one goalkeeper just now, and we could use the money to finance signings across the squad, right? And it would need to be a very serious offer. Do you think the board should give it due consideration, as in potentially say yes to selling our goalkeeper, Smurf?
And if you'd have asked me that at the tail end of last year, before the transfer window opened, I'd say yes. But with 15 days to go in the transfer window, no.
No. Bridge?
Oh, I think we've got to give that kind of thing serious consideration if there's a good bid comes in, really and truly. It depends how everybody sees it at the club level. Do they all see us winning the league this year? And I mean, in all seriousness, there's a board, there's a manager, there's all of the stewards, coaches. Do any of them see us winning the league this year? I know that's what they want to do, but does anybody actually see it? And if they can come out honestly and say yes, then we can't keep them. But if there's any doubts at all, and it's a big sum of money, we've got to take it. No doubt about it, we've got to take it. I'd hate to see him leaving. I'm still in mourning because we let the Gerrard go. I'm still in mourning. I still can't believe that we let him go. What a star, what a name, and so on and so forth. And there we've got a huge star now. We've made him a star because of the size of our club. And he's absolutely brilliant for us. But my goodness gracious, are we needing money? Or are we needing money? So we can't ignore it. We have to think about it and give it whatever thoughts. I would say yes. I would say yes.
GB.
I'm torn with it. It's a hard question. The way I'm looking at it now, Linda, the way our squad is, and I'm thinking would it weaken us? Well, Kelly's there in the background, and he didn't look as though he put a fit Rang in pre-season. And considering he knows our league, I think we would need to obviously listen to offers for Butland. As much as I would love him to stay, but like I says, I think if any team came in now and offered 10 million for Butland, I think we'd need to bite their horn off for it, because we are desperately needing quality in either the middle of the park or up front. And I think we can survive with an average defence in our league. I think we'll get by, no bother with mediocre defence, but we need goals in that team, and I think that's where we need to spend the money.
It's an interesting question, so it'd be good to get people's views. We're going to put a wee poll out on social media. So should we consider selling Jack Butland? It would need to be a very good offer, and it's just yes or no, and taking into account the situation we're in with much needed finances. So yes or no, should we consider selling Butland if a very, very good offer came in? Smurf, any more thoughts?
Aye, well, I just think that I'm thinking of the apathy of the Rangers fans right now. I'm thinking about our manager, who's under the coach. I mean, he's in a right barroom brawl, isn't he? You know, he thought he's coming into the mighty Glasgow Rangers and he's going to have a two-way ding-dong with Celtic. He's fighting for second place with Hearts. They've strengthened. We've weakened and they've strengthened. So if you get rid of Butland, you don't replace Butland with maybe a younger profile, a guy who's Kelly. Forget Kelly. Kelly was never good enough for Rangers the first time round. He's no good enough for now. That's a fact. So he's only ever going to be a number two. You need to replace Butland, and you've got 15 days to do it. Absolutely not. Madness. Absolute madness to sell women now.
So some early results. Yes, 88%. no 12%. So, Bridge, any surprises on that?
Not really. Look, if you, based on what you say, if they're talking about 10 million upwards, there's absolutely no way Rangers can turn their nose up at that. They just can't. And the greatest of respect to Butland and the greatest respect to everybody else at the club, if Rangers could get 10 million financed straight away, legally and every other way, they'll take it. They'll take that. They can get 20 million for them, brilliant. But we don't seem to be very good at selling our players at the moment. So let's hope somebody comes in with an offer of some description. And let them think about it.
GB, the manager said he did set his stall out fairly early about Butland, and he said that they would consider offers for nearly. I think he did say everybody apart from the goalkeeper, and I do understand the point that Smurf's made there. You wonder how the conversations will have gone after we've not got the Champions League money. I mean, it could be that it's just a no-go and that's it, and that's absolutely fine. But if you then go back and there's different scenarios around that, and you're asked the same question, you just wonder what the manager would say. He wants to keep his best players. I understand that, but it did seem it was really only Butland that he held in that category. GB.
Yeah, strange when he's obviously trying to do a rebuild into it, and maybe he's seen that, as Smurf says, that maybe we're not able to go out and get the exact same quality in to shore up the goalkeeping department. But I think even when you hear Butland's interview, that he was sitting down in flights and stuff like that, and he talks to shareholders and he's talking to board members and stuff like that. They've clearly told him the picture of how they see Rangers developing there the next couple of seasons, and Butland's clearly happy to sign up to that. But I tell you, it'll be interesting to see come close of play this transfer window whether both Clement and Butland have been told what is being expected. If you mean that, to me, the two of them have been gaining reassurances that everything will be all right, and we are building something that's going to be worthwhile. But dropping out the other night there in the Europa League and signing a lot of youth players, Disney really. Either these guys are happy to sit back and wait for a couple of seasons before we can see these boys flourish. Then, for me, it's a bit of a risky gamble, even for them. Like, to be honest, Clement's in a win-win situation. If it goes Pete Tong, then the board will get the blame of it. And if the board want rid of him, then he's already tied up to a 4-year contract. So Clement's gone nowhere. And that's the thing. We've just got to ride it out with him. And if it's going to take a couple of seasons, then this is unfortunately what the Rangers fans are going to have to suck up, because it's the only way I see is getting out of this mess is sticking with the guy that we've got, or else we're going to have to spend more money that we've not got.
Smurf, if we do happen to be able to generate some funds, not necessarily through obviously Jack Butland, but if we manage to get a few of these players out the door and we get some money in for them, and say we're talking about 2 or 3 players that we're able to bring in, what would be your priority positions to basically bring players in?
I think we need the whole strength. The whole spine of the team needs strengthened. So you need another centre half, I believe. They're not going to bring one in because they've got 4 there. But we probably need, if you're talking about a series short of the title, you need another centre half. You definitely need a number 6, another central midfielder, and we definitely need another striker. So I'd strengthen the spine of the team. But given the injury, I don't know what the extent of the injury is to Yilmaz. We probably could do with, even if it's a loan addition, another left back.
Bridge, what's your thoughts?
I have to agree with Smurf there. If you look at the weakest points in our team, what do we really need? Well, you need a spine, just as Smurf said. You need a spine. And I know we've been asked this question a number of times, but the truth is, we need another centre half because I don't think Suter is the answer, but he's doing all right along with I'll get this right again. Forget what it was the other centre half. So I think we need another centre half. We definitely need another midfielder. We definitely need one to support the others for sure. And what can I say? Do we need a centre forward or do we need a centre forward? My God, we do. Yes, that's what I think. I think it's crying. Everyone's crying out for these type of players. Now, where are you going to get them? The money that the Rangers have got? I've got no idea. Obviously, you need to look at them. Sorry?
Sorry. I thought you'd finished. Sorry.
No, go on in.
No, I just think that, even if you do get, shall I say, Matondo goes, Hagi goes, Cantwell goes, even if you sold Butland, you get these deals on the line, you're eating up into the rest of the transfer window. And then you put it in going, I get that some deals are maybe shovel ready, all but they're just waiting for finance, right? That you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But there is literally only 15 days to go in the transfer window. So it's one thing getting these guys out. It's if you get the time to get the other guys in. The more desperate you get, and the closer it comes to the shutting of the window, the salaries these guys come in on are going to go up. The transfer fees are going to go up because you need them and they don't need you. So I think business at this end, this late in the transfer window, is another sign of horrendous management. This should have been done at the beginning, early, nice and early. And like I said, if you first asked me, at the tail end of last season, if you get a decent offer for Butland, you take it. You don't take it with 15 days left in the transfer window. It's just madness. I don't see. I have no confidence of anybody of any substance coming in between now and the end of the season. I really don't.
GB, the three positions you would like to strengthen as a priority. I know that there's a lot more than that, but what would you be looking for us to bring in if we could generate some funds?
Well, hopefully, Linda, there's Cifuentes away on loan, so that generates hopefully a space. And if it's true about Matondo, hopefully, then that's another player at the door. So for me, I'd be looking to fill the positions. An attacking midfielder, a number 6, and a decent pedigree, a striker up front, like somebody, like I say, that's clearly knows either our league or somebody a Cherny's quality to try and bring in on loan or something like that. I mean, I know Seamer's been touted, but again, I think that ship's going to be sailed now because of what's happened the other night there. I think what it says we're going to have to be smart with these kind of signings, and I think we'll be right up to the end of the window, Linda. So for me, it's got to be 3 attacking players. I think what it says, if we're just focusing on the league this season, we've got enough there in defence that can probably deal with most of the teams in our league. There might be the odd slip up and we concede a goal, but see, as long as we get the forward line sorted out and a strong midfield and that can score actual goals, I think even Big Ange across the road showed that if you make 3 good quality signings up front, you can have a mediocre defence and you can finish the game at half time. And that's what we need to get into. We need to get our team firing in the first half, win the game by the end of the first half, and then, like I say, you can deal with a second half with mediocre players.
But Bridge, I know you always like us to have a solid defence, and that's your foundations for a successful team. But I do tend to agree with GB there about the fact that we could possibly get by, and for us, particularly over the last couple of seasons, Bridge, we haven't scored enough goals. When you think about the big games, the finals that we haven't managed to go over the line, Bridge, we've lost goals, but we've had chances to put teams away and actually get over that winning line.
Look, can I just say this to you, and it might sound really stupid when I say it. We're a wounded animal. We are in serious trouble. But I think we can't get our fans to come to the games when we're the place we've chosen to play. We're getting European game, and the referee, to all intents and purposes, blatantly cheated and literally cost us the game. Our players aren't, by the look of it, aren't 100% fit and not 100% available when needed. This is a horrendous situation Rangers are in. We need to get a resolution to that, first and foremost. We need to get a resolution to that and get us out of Hampden, get us back to Ibrox as quickly as you can. Don't mess about, because you'll make everybody more comfortable all the way down the line. Okay, by that time you're going to miss the tail of the transfer window. But if there's anybody at Ibrox that's actually looking to bring someone in, they better hurry up and do it, because the fans are desperate. Get somebody in if you can, and if you can't, then we'll live with it. We have to live with it. But don't mess about any longer. Please keep in touch with us and keep us notified as to what's happening, and get Ibrox fixed, and let's back in again. This is my club, by the way. This is my club. Yeah, but this is my club.
Ibrox is not getting back to Ibrox is not going to sort their squad out. It's the manager that's going to sort the squad out.
I've just said all that. 100% agree. It's not the answer to everything, but for God's sake, get us back to Ibrox, because everything has just been one massive mistake after another by the sound of things, and it's a mountain. Each one's a mountain, and we have to climb over it. And that wee googler that Celtic pulled yesterday or whenever it was about the crowd and so on and so forth, the supporters. That's just politics. That's just football politics. They're just messing with us, and we're falling for it. Every one of us are falling for it. This is really serious. What Rangers did, I don't know how they did it, but it's the Rangers' fault. What Rangers did is wrong. And look at us. We've got another potentially couple of games in the Europa League, and we might still be at Hampden playing them. We need to get out of there and get back to Hampden, get to Ibrox, and do the business. Play our European games there. Get things back to a bit of normality. Please. I know I've gone. I don't mean to rant, but I feel like ranting. Seriously.
Smurf.
I think Bridgman's 1,000,000% correct. You know, the situation's dire. I don't think it can be overstated, and everybody is going to be feeling that bit more fuzzy warm feeling if you get back to your own domain, your own stadium, your home, and you can regroup. Everybody will feel a lot more comfortable. I think this transfer window, I'm not expecting miracles between now and then the transfer window. I'd like to see half a dozen coming in, to be honest, but lucky to see one or two. More likely to see maybe some outgoings. But I think going forward, the January transfer window is going to be crucial. I think, we're going to need to try and get a couple in January, given that our squad's so basically small and weak. And maybe you could get a Shankland in, or a Seaman. I mean, Seaman's only going to have, I think I might be wrong, but I think he's in the last year of his contract. I don't know if that's right. Don't know if you guys know that. So
I think you're right, Smurf. I think he is in the last year. It might be more doable in January, the same with Shankland. Well, we're just going to bring it into the last wee part of the show, so give us a call on 0141356 1972. Tell us what your thoughts are, and obviously the announcement Bridge alluded to it there about there's not going to be any away fans at the next two Old Firm games. That was announced. The club made a statement last night. Give us your thoughts on that. GB, we touched on it before we came on air, the fact that Celtic have decided that they're not giving us any away tickets for the game in a couple of weeks, on the basis that we couldn't provide any guarantees around the safety measures for the game at New Year. What's your initial thoughts when you heard it?
To be honest, Linda, I wasn't surprised. I did actually thought they'd go that ironed out because I do think that it's the Old Firm game for television purposes needs both sets of fans in it to get that bit of dig and fire. I know having a full Ibrox full of Bears has allowed people to experience the Old Firm game probably when they've never been able to get a ticket before. But I think with everything that's been going on with their stadium, we've gave them kind of an easy excuse to try and jump on something with it. And they've probably been asking for reassurances that everything's got to be set up for it. And then as soon as they've turned around and says, well, we can't give guarantees on that as at this time because of what's going on at Ibrox, then they've took the easy way out just to go out, well, you're not getting any tickets. And to be honest, I think that's the end of it, Linda. I think that's going to be the way forward now forever, unfortunately, for all firm games, in my eyes. I think you're always going to have either one side is taking the full allocation and that's it. That's got to be the new all firm way now.
I mean, Smurf, I don't see it changing because there's a bit of a, we're at a bit of a stalemate here, and I think it's just my own view, but I think Celtic want the old allocation. They're looking for the 8,000. They're not going to get that. We're not going to agree to it. It seemed to be there was a deal struck that was going to be it would be based on the European allocation, but as GB said, they've taken an opportunity to just flex a bit of muscle and say that they're not giving us the allocation. And I don't know what you feel about it, Smurf. I mean, there's so much going on with regards to Rangers just now. You wonder, how it will affect us, or whether, we just think, well, we'll just deal with it and we'll just move on.
Well, no choice but to deal with it and move on. However, I think this is an opportunistic thing. You've got Rangers are, like Bridgeman said it earlier, they're a seriously wounded animal, right? You've got platforms like this and dozens of others where people are coming on and they're saying the same stuff. There's various outlets where people are venting, and that's important. The board's going to be aware of that, and so your arch rivals, the great unwashed, they're aware of it as well, and opportunity for them to stick their boot into it when we're at the weakest point, and they're taking it. Use a shower of, can I swear on here? You can't get your act together. You can't even open your stadium for the beginning of the season. So how can you give us cast iron guarantees that it's got to be safe for our fans to go there? We've put all the necessary arrangements in place. You are incapable of managing your own affairs. Therefore, we're not going to put our fans in danger, and we're turning up the agreement, and that's your fault because you are not capable of managing your club effectively. And you've got absolutely no comeback because they're right.
Reg?
Yeah, I was right when he's saying that. It's just how can we say any of these things? So I said Jaffa. I do apologise, my apologies. How can I put this? Personally speaking, I'm a die-hard Rangers fan. As far as I'm concerned, if they never get into Ibrox again, I'll be a very, very happy man. I don't want any Celtic supporters in Ibrox, ever. That's what I don't want, right?
Good on you.
And I don't want, I've said this before, I notice the guys on Rangers Radio are absolute gems and I love them a bits. And they go to the away games and they want to go to Celtic Park. I cannot stop that. But for me, and I'm not being funny when I say this, I would not have any Rangers fan going to any club in Scotland in an away game. That's what I would say. Certainly no letting Celtic fans into Ibrox. That's brilliant for me. Leave them out.
GB, we're going to be wrapping up the show, over the next couple of minutes, but just sort of skipping ahead to the game at the weekend. Big game for us. We're the holders of the League Cup. We want to progress, because it's only a couple of games and you find yourself at Hampden. You know, it's important. You know, it's an understatement that we get through this game at the weekend, and it just would give us a bit of a boost to cross a game off. But we're looking for something from the team, GB, and the manager. We've obviously touched on the club, but we're looking for them to give us something that we can hang on to. And I know it sounds a bit desperate, but we're looking for, I don't know about you, but I'm looking for some good football. I'm looking for some goals to get scored. And I'm just looking for something, a wee bit of flair and a wee bit of something decent to watch.
Momentum, Linda, that's all we're looking for. No, it says the gives a half-decent performance, get a win under the belt, and we go into the next round again. I mean, and just, again, it just builds this learning that Clement's trying to instill in the team. It's just another game for them to try and settle and get an understanding of each other. And what it says, hopefully in time, hopefully in the short, the nearest time, that we get to see the team bond pretty quickly. Because, like I say, I think there's a team there, Linda. We've seen flashes of it. We've seen some nice play at times, especially for Diamande and stuff, and Tierney. So it's a game that's probably welcomed at the weekend, that we can actually go out and give players minutes, and hopefully, like I say, that we can start creating a wee bit more of a team understanding.
Smurf, what are you looking to see at the weekend?
Sorry, I was doing a bridge man there. I was on mute.
That's all right.
You know what? Just look, we're under siege. Batten down the hatches. You know, no one likes us. We don't care. Get the battle fever on and just go to war and just give it your all. You know, just understand that literally the rest of Scottish football despise us, and they need to adopt a warrior mentality and a siege mentality, and take it personal and just fight for everything and fight for a club, and the fans do as well. You know, the team on the park needs us, and we need to rally around them, and that includes Big Dessel, because we'd be stuffed without them. Anyway, good night, everybody.
Good night, Smurf. Bridge,
Cheers,
what
Smurf.
you looking for at the weekend, Bridge?
Oh, I want them to play well and win a game. This will take a good chance to take us forward into another round of a cup, which we're the holders. So we need to go out and show that we can play football, and we're playing against St Johnstone, who are shall we say, a doughty team. You know, they're not the greatest team in the whole world, but they can try, but they're playing against a manager that hates us. So what can I say about that? You know, as far as I'm concerned, I want to win. I want Rangers to win well, always do, but I'll just take any victory. 1-0 for me, I'll be delighted. Come away from there, go through to the next round of the cup, I'll be happy, very happy, man. Keep it going, Rangers, keep it going.
So we've reached that time of the evening. Thanks to Smurf and Stewart for Cowdy Beat that phoned in earlier on. You know, the club's went through a lot over the last few days, and I suppose as fans we're going to have to get ourselves behind the club. I'm sure we will. We'll support the team. But as I said earlier, we're just looking for them to give us something, and that starts on Saturday. So thanks for joining us tonight, GB.
Thanks for having me on, Linda. And what's this great points you brought up tonight, and great discussion, and talking about it and getting it out there, I think reassures some of the fans and their thoughts as well, Linda. I think that's the thing. It may have sounded a bit negative the night, but I'm sure a lot of us will be a bit happier knowing that we're kind of on the same page.
Bridgeman, over to you.
Yeah, much what GB says there is. I have to apologise for myself anyway. I'm still living back in 2012 when I remember what they did to us, and I've never forgiven them for it. So there's a lot of bad taste in my mouth about these people. And here we're getting it again, week after week, week after week, week after week. The same distaste, the same treatment by the authorities in Scotland, and particularly the press, BBC, ITV, all of them. So as far as I'm concerned, just get ourselves together, win the games. Each game, plan it, win it. That's all we can do. As far as I'm concerned, that's all I want them to do. Just win the game. Can I just say, Linda, thanks very much for tonight. It was magic. The GB for carrying me along. There's obviously your techie guys in the background. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, please be happy. We are coming back, and that's for sure. We'll be back 100%. And everybody, keep it going for the Rangers, because the Rangers need us. And this week, we need you more than ever.
Again, can I thank Stewart and Smurf for phoning in earlier on in the show, and just a wee shout out to Ian on YouTube and his wife, just wishing them all the best and hope to see him back on YouTube in the future. Ian, all the best to you. As I say, thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks for the techie guys, Fox and Old School Blue. Rangers Radio will be back tomorrow night talking about all things Rangers. Take it away, Fox.